Now we move into a fun one. Let's go right up the middle. Let's go to center backs. Shall I start?
Oh, we're going right into center backs, huh?
Shall I start?
Yeah, start us off. Start us off.
Okay, so here's the thing. Um, Players like Miles Robinson, who we know are not going to be in the mix, are not included. So we have not included players who are injured and very, very likely will not be involved. So that being said, number 6, Eric Palmer Brown. I have 6 here. I don't think they're taking
You
6,
have
but I have
you
6.
have six like across, like not six for
Just
each
center
center
back.
back spot, like
Just center
six total.
backs.
Okay,
Just center backs.
got it.
So I don't think that they're taking 6, but if I had to rank my top 6, here's who I have. I've got Eric Palmer Brown. I've got Mark McKenzie at 5, Chris Richards at 4, Aaron Long at 3, Cameron Carter Vickers at 2, and Walker Zimmerman at 1. Players who were left off the list. Miles Robinson, we spoke about. A couple other players who were in the mix in 2021. I really focused a lot on players who were involved over the last 2 years, outside of any really young guys who might have broken through. Gaga Slanina, for example. Um, I didn't include people who were like never played before. Um, that being said, John Brooks is out. John Brooks is not in my top 6. He hasn't played for a club. He just signed for a club after leaving Wolfsburg a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So he can't be in the top 6. He hasn't played in months. Anybody who says he just gets in because he's been living in Europe is out of their mind. The reason I have Aaron Long so high because I want to put Aaron Long lower. But Chris Richards hasn't gotten in. Mark McKenzie's performance at Genk and has been okay, but his performance with the national team the first time he came in was shocking. And Eric Palmer Brown was the same deal when he came in the friendlies over the summer. He was not great. I think Cameron Carter Vickers and Walker Zimmerman are 1-2 going into the World Cup. Aaron Long would be the third guy in. He'd be the sub if we need it, or the rotation guy against a weak team like England or something. Um, John Brooks doesn't make this team, nor does he make my top 6. I don't even apologize because he hasn't played. So I'm not sorry about it, and the Eurosnobs can come at me.
Well, they're gonna have to come at me too because he is not in my top six either.
Come on!
I will say off the bat, I have the same six players in my top six, but in a different order. Um,
We're going good.
yeah. So I've got Eric Palmer Brown at 6. I've got Long at 5. I've got Richards at 4. Hot take, I've got Mark McKenzie at 3.
Is that how thin we are? Goodness me.
I don't listen. I know Mark McKenzie was really bad the last time he played with the national team, but that was a while ago. I'm hoping at this point it felt like he was just nervous. It felt like it was a lack of composure. I'm hoping now that he's settled in more because he's been. I mean, I think you kind of undersold his performance so far this season, but he's been really, really good with Genk this season. He, I mean, granted, this is obviously subjective, but he has a very good rating on SofaScore. And Genk is sitting second in the Belgian table right now with 1 loss and 1 draw on the season and 6 wins. Only 9 goals conceded. I mean, they looked really good. And I think Mark McKenzie's been playing, I think, every single game. He's gotten consistent game time. His team is playing really well. The Belgian league is a strong league, granted, not top 5 league, but a strong league nonetheless. I will say I do think it is a little thin at the back line. Like I think obviously Miles Robinson would jump in front. Um, but I think if Richards gets more consistent game time, I'd jump him over McKenzie. Normally I'd put Aaron Long over there too, but I feel like maybe you could tell me more, but I just feel like Long's been struggling lately or just Red Bull a bit overall have been inconsistent in defense. And then my starting two is also Cameron Carter Vickers, who has been on a Celtic team that is just absolutely unstoppable in the Scottish League. And when I say unstoppable, I mean like, let me get the exact numbers because it was kind of ridiculous. 6-0, 25 goals scored, 1 goal conceded. That is absurd. And I believe he has played every game. So yeah, he should be starting alongside Walker Zimmerman.
I am going to backtrack. I get updates on basically every American player from FotMob, the app where you can follow players and they give you updates, right? And every time his name pops up, I feel like I always just see like a 6 or a 6.2, like he hasn't made an impact. Um, I was wrong. I guess I must have been thinking about somebody else because he is. You're right. He's been phenomenal. Um, my memory cheated me. Um, so I will reevaluate and I will put out my list. Eric Palmer Brown at 6, Chris Richards at 5, Mark McKenzie at 4, Aaron Long at 3. I'm going to keep Aaron Long at 3. Carter Vickers at 2, and Zimmerman at 1.
Yeah.
And that's just because I don't want to copy you, honestly. I would very, very sooner switch Aaron Long lower. Actually, you know what? I wouldn't be copying you because you had Aaron Long at 5, right?
Yeah, I have my 5.
All right, then let's do it this way. Palmer Brown at 6, Chris Richards at 5, Aaron Long at 4, Mark McKenzie at 3, Cameron Carter Vickers at 2, Zimmerman at. That's the way we'll go about it because again, I had shared some things before. I think Eric Palmer Brown didn't impress when he was here. Chris Richards, young and still hasn't really got enough top level game time. Aaron Long has been very, very poor for Red Bull in the middle stretch of that season. He's picked it up a little bit in the last couple of weeks. Um, Mark McKenzie, as we just spoke about, having a very, very good start to the year with Genk. Cameron Carter Vickers on a Celtic team that is absolutely torching the rest of the world. And Walker Zimmerman, the perennial starter forever. So, feel good?
Yeah, one thing I do want to add for the Eric Palmer Brown one, I understand he's playing at the top tier in France, but his team has conceded 15 goals so far this season, which is the third or fourth worst in the league. So he may be in the top level of France, but his team is not playing very well. And I also don't think that the bottom half of the French table is exactly like super strong. I think I'd argue that the top couple of teams in like Belgium are probably better than the bottom half teams in France. So
I'd agree.
I think Mark McKenzie's performance is way better than Eric Palmer Brown. Uh, but yeah, let me just read my list clean so you have it for the TikTok. So Eric Palmer Brown, uh, Aaron Long, Chris Richards, Mark McKenzie, Cameron Carter Vickers, Walker Zimmerman.
All right, I like it. I think we for a lot of these spots are pretty much tied down, and there are very few that are up for grabs. But those are more in the attacking phase of the game. So we'll get to that.